Okay. Hello. I'm back for probably one last video. Because it's been some time since ETC, and I want to just get my thoughts out about Ninth Age in general. Particularly because I haven't played since ETC, and I've been playing a bit of 40k, which isn't great, but it does have some things going for it. I don't really want to go through and over ETC. It was honestly a bit shit. The games weren't fun. I had 3 games, which was basically just like, you've got shooting, so too much shooting for me to deal with, so I'm stuffed. I might as well sit in the corner. One game that sort of it could have been good, but the charges that I needed to make it interesting didn't come off. They were like 9s or something, and it was 2 or 3 of them, and they didn't come off. So the game was just kind of flat. It wasn't bad or anything, but it was it could have gotten really interesting, and it just didn't because he was able to play defensive. And I was trying to push him, and the push didn't work. So I was like, well, I didn't lose too much, but I couldn't get into you and fight you. So nothing really ended up happening in the game. One other game where he had more shooting than I could deal with, but made a mistake with deployment and his approach. So the game sort of played itself. I didn't need to do anything clever. I still lost that one as well, 11-9. But I didn't need to do anything clever. It was just sort of oh yeah, you deployed a bit shit, so now you're making up for it. Or needing to make up for it. So I got more points out of that matchup than I should have. But only because he made a mistake, not because I did anything good. And then I had one game against Scrub, which was really good because he had an aggressive army, and I was like, this is what I'm actually built to deal with. So that game was cool and interesting and felt like the game was actually happening. But I didn't really I should point out, I had excellent opponents. Some of the best people I've ever played. A better experience than I even have in Australia. Australia is a nice chill scene, but the people I played at ECT, even better. They were such nice people. So I sort of heard it's like anything, you hear more the horror stories than the normal experience, but all my opponents were terrific. And sort of even though the games weren't that fun, it was still a nice event to be at, just chatting to people and getting to meet people. Everyone was so great to hang out with. So that's usually the case, at least in my experience with Ninth Age in general. So it's nothing new that everyone's nice, but it was noteworthy because people have sort of horror stories about cheating and opponents from ETC, and I didn't have any of that. Everyone that I played was genuinely terrific. I also didn't have any problems with anyone playing slow or anything. It was just really great opponents. But as you can probably sort of surmise from the tone of my talking about the games that I played, I sort of noticed... I don't know that it's the only time that I've noticed it with Ninth, but I think it has a problem with the way that you win the game. Effectively, in Ninth, I think that you're punished for playing the game. Not always, but far too often. And if you're super good, if you're, the top player who wins all his games, and I'm probably not talking to you. You don't need to keep watching. This isn't about you. This is about, I think I can speak for a larger section of the community potentially than just the top players, because I'm not one of them, and I have a little bit of understanding of the mistakes that players like me can make, particularly in things like list building, where you build a list that doesn't really, or that has particular weaknesses. So to use my games at ETC as an example, I had three major ones were basically like, oh, your shooting is too good, I can't push at you. What I should do is sit in the corner. 2 of those games I didn't, I got 0. 1 of those games I just sat in hard cover the entire game. Apologized to my opponent for being so boring. And I got 3 points out of that, which in another objective, we were playing Capture the Flags. And he was like Avoidance Sylvan Elves, so I couldn't really get to anything. But in another objective, I might have been able to have some kind of conservative play for the objective, so it might have even been better than that. But thinking about it, what I find odd is that the scoring system in 9th tells me that for all 3 of those games, hey, don't play. What you should be doing is you should be sitting in the corner and you should be trying to avoid losing big. Because if you play, you just lose things. And the more things that you lose, the worse you go down. And you can point to, like, actually you played kind of crap. Sure. I won't argue with that. Actually, your list wasn't really suitable. I won't argue with that. But that's not an uncommon problem. It's not an uncommon problem for people to not play the game in the most optimum way. And I don't think the game should be designed around you can only... Like, if you don't play the optimum way, well, sucks to be you. Sometimes you shouldn't play. Like, if I can make it a bit of an example, if I'm the worst player in the world, I know going into every game I have a disadvantage. Going into every game I should not win. My best strategy in 9th is not, well, I'm going to take a combat army, I'm going to try and do some things, I'm going to hope that the dice save me. My optimum strategy is take a list that is the safest possible you can be and just avoid losing as much as you can. Which means you lose, but you don't lose 20-0. And it's like, I don't think your game should be telling you not to play it like that. I think your game should be figuring out a way to go, okay, your starting point is never higher than what you'll end up with, basically. You should have to earn your victory points. Or like your 20-0. You got a 20-0 system, you should not be starting on 10, you should be starting on 0 so that you work your way towards winning anything. Which I think, like, so just as a idea that I don't know, it's not flawless, I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's a better alternative. But as an example of the concept, if you had no battle points, so no 0 to 20, and you just had victory points, you just had, like, your score at the end of a game, and for the tournament is, he tabled me, he got 4,500 points, I got 2,000 off him, he won 4,500 to 2,000. I'm no worse off for having played that game. I'm not punished for the fact that he tabled me, I'm rewarded for the fact that I got some of his models. And I think one of the things I've noticed in 40k, even though the rules are written poorly, the game is poorly balanced, it's not a very good game, but it's entirely objective based. It doesn't actually, like, it kind of matters how much you kill of the opponent, but only in so much as that achieves the objectives that come up during the game. And I don't really know the game well enough to explain the intricacies of how all the primary objective and secondary objective works. So I won't try. I don't think it's that important. But effectively, you don't start that game sort of with points to lose. It's like, no, you have to go, like, here's the things you have to do in the game to get any points. Avoiding doing things doesn't put you in a better position. And you could still have a conversion system that ends up in 20-0. You could still have something like with my 9th Age example, 4,500 to 2,000 points. That might work out to, in whatever system you devise to convert that to a 20-0 system, that might still work out as a 20-0 and I've got 0 points. The point that I'm trying to make is that I shouldn't... getting zero is not the problem. The problem is the fact that to get 0, you have to be worse than effectively not playing. So, in that example, it's like, well, 4,500 to 2,000, that's a 20-0. 4,500 to 0, also a 20-0, so it doesn't matter that I haven't lost anything along the way. Or 3,000 points to 0, I should say, also a 20-0. Doesn't matter that I've lost models. It matters that I've been beaten or I've not killed enough or something. I don't know. I don't know how that one would work, and I don't know how you convert it if it's not difference in victory points. So maybe that maths conversion doesn't really work in that system. But the concept is, realistically, even if I'm shit, I want to be able to play the game. So even if I'm going to be beaten even if I have a bad list matchup or my opponent's better than me, I want to be able to engage with the game the way the designers presumably intend. So, presumably the Ninth Age designers aren't sitting there and going like, well, new players, how do we get them into the game? Well, if they're competitive, we want them not really playing, teach them how to sit there not moving and hoping for the best. And I don't even have a solution to this particularly. Smarter minds than me, I think, are actually at work on this because they're doing Ninth Age 3.0. And I know that this kind of thing, the victory conditions I know are being considered. I don't know what they have identified as the problems. I don't know what direction they're looking to go in. But I know that they're looking at how you win a game and making that sort of one of the things they're considering changing or working with or something. I don't know. And some things that I've talked about this to people before, and one of the things that I'm sort of like, that people come back with like, oh, but it's a battle game, it should matter how much you kill. And I'm like, it can still matter how much you kill. That's fine. That can be important for many reasons. Like in 40k, you've got objectives specifically about killing specific things. The actual point there is you could have a game that is designed around how much you kill. It's just that you shouldn't have your scoring system starting you higher than you're likely to end. Like a 20-0 system, I feel like it would just be better if you could earn... you could effectively have a game that maybe ends up like 20-20 or something. Well, probably not, because some things would be mutually exclusive. But you can still have a game that focuses on killing each other's models, doing the battle, all that sort of stuff, that doesn't tell you relatively frequently, hey, just don't engage. Don't do anything here. Play it safe. And the reason I'm saying this is not really because I'm like, oh, it sucks. I took a combat list and ETC was all shooting, and then I just got shot off the board, and these players weren't even good. It's nothing to do with that. ETC is not the problem. ETC works the way that it does because of the game it's been presented. But I do believe that more players at the ETC would probably like to take more interesting things, more aggressive lists. But it doesn't really work. The format of the ETC doesn't really work that way. And the game system is constructed in such a way that it's not... it's risk averse, basically. It's basically better to have... if you're like a really top team, it's probably better to have 8 really good players and just find the best matchups possible. But in sort of the mid to lower teams, it's more like, these are our 2 best players. We're going to give them the best matchups, and everyone else just try and draw. Try and draw or lose small. That's all we really need. And I don't think that you should be able to get that just by playing super conservative. I think that you should have to earn every point that you get by not even necessarily... Well, I guess by outplaying your opponent in some respect. So there shouldn't really, I don't think, be situations where you're you're met with a matchup at the start, and you go like, well, we know how this ends up. Like, I sit here, you sit there, get the objective. I don't think those games should happen, because what is effectively happening there is they're going like, I can't risk that. I can't risk engaging in this game, and I don't think engaging in the game should be a risk. And also, like, I'm sure a valid criticism of my problems with the ETC, or my problems with my experience with the ETC, to say, because I don't really have any problems with the ETC itself. I just like get better, like be better at the game, and that's totally fair. Like, I could get better. That would be, well, maybe I can't, but that could be a solution to my problem. But I don't think it would. If I was the best player in the world, I don't think that it would change the problem that I'm seeing here, which is that if I was the best player in the world, it's like, well, great, I can play ninth. I can take my really aggressive list. I've written a list that can handle all the things that my list at ATC couldn't handle. I've got that because I'm great at the game. Write great lists. Great. That would just mean that, hey, in this sea of people, I get to play ninth, and a bunch of my teammates and a bunch of my opponents don't get to. They just get to try and not lose big. So, which is like part of the thing that people sort of mention when like, oh, like that's their best player, just sort of like try and hold on, like don't take any risks. I'm like, if you don't take any risks, should you be getting anything? If you're not really doing anything to play the game, should you get any points? Probably not. Yeah. That's basically all I wanted. Like, I bring this up now because I brought it up on the Discord earlier, the US like ETC Discord, and I've thought about like mentioning it on like the forums and stuff, but I don't really want to get into like internet arguments. I don't really want, like, if someone disagrees, it's like, okay, I don't care. You might be right, I might be right. I don't have any power to change it, and the game is like dead in Australia anyway, so I'm not going to be playing it for that much longer anyway, except with my mates, where this is not a problem because we're just playing for fun anyway. So, I just wanted to sort of summarize my ideas and my issues with ninth in a way that you can take it or leave it. This might be information that you look at and go like, yeah, no, he's got a point. Or it might be information where like, that guy's an idiot. He should shut up. Both could be right. Or at least, I don't care which one is right. So I hope you've maybe found it interesting. And I hope... So actually, you know what? I do want to point out. This has just been like, hey, this is what I think the problem with ninth is. When I say the problem with ninth, it's because I'm like, there's kind of, in my opinion, only one. The balance is really good. You complain about a few things, and you're unhappy about a few things. Like, I've been pissed off about the KOE book for, like, since it came out, saying this is stronger than everything else. Every time a new update comes out, they nerf a couple of things a bit, and then bump a bunch of other things up so that they're overpowered again. It's not that big a deal. Particularly peeking over the other side, seeing 40k, doesn't even compare. Like, ninth is, balance-wise, so good. And ninth is rules clarity-wise, so good. I think there's so much that is good about it. I think it's a really, really excellent game, actually. I just think that they need to... I think they're outdated. They're stuck in the past in terms of what their win conditions should be. And like, even if you can compare it to say chess, which is a little bit more punishing, even because there's no like, oh, I won a little bit, like I didn't win, but I didn't lose too big. It's like you either win, you lose, or you can draw. But there's no participation points. There's no reward for going, you know what? I'm not really going to play. I'm just going to go, this guy's better than me. I'm going to hang on. And then at the end of the game, hopefully he hasn't beaten me too bad. In chess, it's like you either earn your draw if you're playing like top chess, which I've watched. I've watched and I've heard commentators, and I think that I understand what they're saying. They, as black, you might be going, I'm fighting for a draw because white has the advantage, which is fine in itself. And that means that white has the advantage. It's quite a balanced game. It's, he has to do something to make a win happen or a result happen. But if you're anywhere below, like, I don't know, 2,000 elo, it's like when you play the game, it's like, well, I need to do things to get a win here. There's no consolation prize if I didn't lose too big. And ninth could be harsh like that and go like, look, it's a win-loss system. So then if you know that you're going to lose a game, it's like, well, there's no punishment for me going all in and going like, I might as well try something. In ninth, there is a punishment. So I think that's sort of the core thing that is only really important for competitive ninth. So the game itself, mechanically, and what you're actually doing in the game, I think is actually really, really good. It's just that win condition, I think, needs to be considered a little bit more. As I said, I don't think I'm going to do any more videos. Kind of depends. There's not enough ninth happening in Australia. I'm not interested in sort of playing it very competitively, at least at the moment anyway, and I don't think it's going to last competitively in Australia. So, this may be the last one. And if it is, I hope that you've enjoyed watching my videos over the time that I've done it. And I hope that you enjoy playing ninth for as long as you can. So, thank you guys.